vsin.com is your trusted source for exclusive sports betting news, data, and analysis.
Back on the show live in Vegas, South Point Sportsbook. This is from earlier. It's a two-part conversation. Richard Munchkin came in studio. He's a longtime Advantage player, lives in Las Vegas, has since the late 70s. He has incredible gambling stories. He is the author of the book Gambling Wizards, the co-host with Bob Dancer, by the way, on the podcast Gambling with an Edge. And, in fact, he's been around for so long, and he's been booted from a lot of spots. He generally wears a costume. And when he came in studio yesterday, I said, "What's up, man? No costume today?"
No, I keep saying I'm retired. This is, I think, the 6th time I've retired. So it's like the old joke about quitting smoking. I've done it dozens of times. But no, currently I am retired, and I'm doing a show, actually. So I figure if I'm putting my face and name out there on stage, I might as well come in and face the music.
Did you get your son into this, though?
Yeah, actually, one of my sons is into gambling, so yeah, he's out there.
All right, excellent. I was hoping for the neck brace this time.
I very seriously considered it, and I just didn't. I just didn't dig it out. But if my son finds something particularly good, I may have to go out and take a chair.
Come out of retirement. How do you know when a game when a game is good, and how do you know it's beatable? You can take advantage of it.
Well, it varies a lot because depending on what the game is, right? Because all different games can be beat. One of the things that's really important is that the casino is making money. Because if the casino is not making a lot of money, it's hard to take any money out of it. Because they're always worried about whenever they're losing money. Whereas if they're making a ton of money, they don't care as much. So that's one thing. But as I say, every game is different. But if it's a card game, being able to identify one card in the deck and the location of that card is usually enough to have a very big edge. It's no matter what the game is.
Okay.
Usually.
Okay. And the lengths you would go, you've been disguised before, but the lengths you would go to travel or hours and scouting. Do you have?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We would spend probably 3 times as much time scouting as we would actually playing. Now, this is not for counting cards.
Yeah.
The good thing about counting cards is you can just walk in, sit down, and play, and you can do it almost anywhere. The bad thing is it has the smallest advantage for the player, and the casinos know the most about it. So they're very quick to tell you not to play if that's what you're doing. So I learned early on that I would rather play with a much bigger edge, but the games are much harder to find.
Okay, and those games would be what, for example?
Oh, almost anything. Blackjack, baccarat, roulette, slot machines. I mean, almost every single game in the casino can be beat under the right conditions. And I'm not talking about like lucky numbers or being beat by any of that kind of, this machine is hot or any of that kind of stuff. Now, sometimes those conditions are extremely rare, but when you find them, they can be worth thousands of dollars per hour. Whereas a blackjack game, if you're a card counter, finding a game that's worth more than $200 or $300 an hour would be a real rarity. That would be a tremendous game to find a game that was worth $400 or $500 an hour as a card counter. But in other games, you can find games that are worth thousands of dollars per hour.
How about the best run for you as a person or as when you were playing in a team?
Well,
session, whatever.
Best session was a team. We were a team, and we were playing a. I'm wondering how much I can say about this.
All of it.
Well, I can say this. We were playing a craps game, and we won $335,000 in one session that lasted almost 24 hours.
Wow, excellent.
That was in Las Vegas?
No, it was not in Las Vegas.
Okay. Why were you so successful? Why was that table so hot?
Well, the table wasn't hot. That's
a misnomer.
there is no such thing as a hot table.
Okay.
We had a very large advantage on this particular game. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Now, the worst loss, you were doubting yourself. You had to bring other people in. What happened when you started out early and it was a bad blackjack loss?
So, yeah, when I started out as a card counter, which, as I mentioned, has the very lowest edge. And the smaller your edge is, the more swings you're going to have, the more variance, right? So when I started out on my first team, I was losing for 160 hours of play. And, we keep track of our hours played very meticulously. And I was convinced I was doing something wrong. I didn't understand. My teammates were winning. Why wasn't I? 3 different times I had teammates come with me to the casino, sit next to me, make sure I was counting right, make sure I was betting right. And they all said, yeah, you're doing it right. It's just you're on a bad streak. And now most people, when they face a streak like that at the very beginnings of their career, they quit, which is what I did. I was like,
wow,
I hate this. I'm going back. I was a blackjack dealer at the time. I was dealing while I was playing. I said, I'm going back to my job. And I did. And a very good friend of mine who had been on that first team, he joined another team. And they just started making money like crazy. And after a few months, he said, look, you got to give this another try. We're making a lot of money. Just come try again. And so I did. And I started winning right away. And pretty soon I was making more money playing than I was dealing. And, I had to quit the job then.
That guy sounds like a video poker hype man.
A video poker what?
Yes, it could be.
Paul wants to have a hype man when he goes out and plays video poker.
Oh, it's funny you should say that because this guy did end up, when video poker came in, he was one of the first people to begin playing video poker with an edge. And, he's been playing that since the 80s. I think it came in the mid-80s or something.
Follow the Money, Pauly and Mitch Veason, Richard Munchkin, our guests at RMW21 on Twitter. So the last time you were on, we had some fun with this and about how casinos cheat. We're on a bad run here. I'm talking about players, what's going on. You can just take it and you're gonna go, I know. But in Louisiana, they were banning card counters. They're not supposed to do that. The Ivy situation, which he had a great line, I can't mark a card I didn't touch. The incident in Singapore where a high roller said the dealer's making mistakes. If this continues, I'm not gonna play. And they took his money anyways. But the free roll, as you talked about it, casinos are on a free roll saying, okay, well, if you win, we're just not gonna pay you. And if you lose, fine. We'll
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, occasionally you will run into casinos cheating by taking cards out of the deck or things like that in a foreign country or, some little illegal casino, that kind of thing. But no, the way they cheat now in the United States and the UK is, they free roll you. So you play, you win, and then they decide, oh, we're just not going to pay you. Another example, the casino in Atlantic City, the casinos now, in an effort to save time, use pre-shuffled cards for baccarat. So this casino, they put the cards in the shoe, and they start coming out, 5 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, and the players realize the cards haven't been shuffled. They're still in new deck order. Ugh. And now, now you got a dealer dealing this game, a pit boss watching the game, surveillance watching the game, and nobody can see that these cards are coming out in order. So the players win a bunch of money, and what happens? They backroom some of them for 5 hours, refuse to pay them. I mean, why is it the players' fault?
That's totally absurd.
Yeah, it's totally absurd, right? The casino has a responsibility to protect their game. So, yeah, but so this is the way they cheat now. And I have to also say this. When this subject comes up, often people will say, oh, well, the casinos couldn't cheat because they will lose their license. That is hogwash. No casino in Las Vegas would ever lose their license for cheating. I mean, they had an incident at the Venetian where they rigged a drawing for one of their high rollers.
Yes.
Did they lose their license? Of course not. And I have to tell you, I did a show for the Travel Channel where I was a segment producer. And it was about cheating in Las Vegas. And we interviewed Keith Kofer, who was the head of gaming enforcement at the time, right? And at that time, a very high respected blackjack player in the blackjack community thought that there was a casino removing cards from the shoe here in Las Vegas. Now, normally when people say something like that, I discount it, but this is somebody very respected in the community. So we go to interview Keith at Gaming, and one of the other producers says, hey, you know, I know this guy, and he thinks there's a casino that's taking cards out of the shoe. What would you do if that was the case, if they reported this? And he said, oh, we would take this very seriously, and the first thing we would do is write them a letter. I'm like, gee, that's, you know, that's really going to catch them, you know? Yeah.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, the idea somebody would lose their license is ridiculous.
Okay, that's part one. Longtime Advantage player, co-host of the podcast Gambling with an Edge, author of the book Gambling Wizards, Richard Munchkin. That sounds straight like it's straight out of the movie Anchorman.
I know the place. They were taking aces out. It was in the paper. They were taking aces
Unreal.
out. Taking aces right out. I mean, wouldn't that be something? Wait a second. I haven't seen an ace.
I am going to take this so seriously, you're going to get a letter from my lawyer.
Right. I remember the Venetian, too.
The Venetian
guy was
story.
getting his butt kicked. They rigged the car drawing for him.
Incredible.
That was, yep, and they said, this stinks, this smells. Like, everyone was all over it. Other customers saw right through it.
All right, that was part one. Part two, Richard Munchkin on deck here. We'll ask him about getting backroomed, if it's ever happened. A story that took place in Moscow that you won't believe. And can roulette dealers place the ball where they want to? How about that? More with Richard Munchkin next here on VSiN.
It's time to follow the money with your hosts, Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard.
Welcome aboard to T-Pro. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a car, truck, or SUV made from $19.99 or higher, you could stop paying for car repairs. Call now. See if you qualify. You must have an automobile made from $19.99 or higher, and all repairs for your engine, transmission, and much more can become a thing of the past. Call star 1147 today and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Total protection for your car, no more repair bills. Star 1147, star 1147 T-Pro. Second part of Richard Munchkin in a second. Mike Palm sticking around from the D. How about some other props here if you want to kick around what we were doing with PointsBet as well and what you could kick around at Circa? You had a couple good ideas.
Well, I thought something that's interesting is since they changed these kickoff rules, it's so hard to recover an onside kick. Last year it was 4 of 52, I believe. So I would put up a prop over/under onside kicks recovered at like 5.5. I'd set it a little high.
Are you sure? There were 4
Yes.
though? Wow. That's
The entire season in the NFL, 4 recovered onside kick. Look at them; they don't even come close.
I know,
See
you're
them
right.
trying
It's
to-
not even a play anymore.
No,
right,
it's
you're
not. But that factors in when a team's ahead, that teams aren't going to be able to recover onside kicks now. It changes the game. I'd factor it a little higher since maybe they try to make an adjustment, but I think that'd be interesting.
How about will the team go 0-8 at home?
I think people will bet yes here because of Arizona. I think Arizona, Miami, they're probably the worst 2 teams. Miami has that advantage of that humidity in South Florida. Even New England has a hard time winning down there. But Arizona in that dome and with a bad team and an inexperienced coach, I think people take a little flyer there that they might go 0-8 at home. I know Brett really likes under 4.5 for Arizona's season win totals. He thinks, there's a lot of feeling around the NFL that maybe Cliff Kingsbury didn't deserve a head coaching job. There's a lot of guys possibly. There are a lot of guys that put a lot of years in and were qualified. He was not a successful head coach at Texas Tech, and that there's a lot of guys that would really like to stick it to him this year.
I love that angle. That's a terrific angle you're bringing up right now.
Yeah, this Brent's got a lot of stuff, and I know you guys are up early, so you don't always get a chance to hear the afternoon shows. But I'll try to relay it to you. I'll try to text you so I don't leave you hanging like that game at the D, like the single play, the second game. That was
The other coaches probably that was minor league what you did there. Yeah.
It wasn't intentional. If I would have known, I would have told him. You don't think we want to pick up another 10 dimes?
Hey, have you noticed what the South Point did? 20 feet that way, brand new.
Yeah, triple play, right?
Is it new?
Oh, I've never seen that before, ever. It's a brand new Ultimate X machine.
Triple
10,
play,
10
though.
feet from the studio.
Triple play. If it was single play, he'd blow his job.
If they were, you know what?
He'd blow his job.
I am going to email the GM here at the South Point and say, you're missing a big opportunity. Paul has to walk by that thing at least twice every single day. You make it single play, man. Get a clean house.
No, I'm going to discourage him from doing that. We like him to come downtown once in a while.
Fair enough.
Got 2.
Yeah. Yes, it's great. How about 8-0 at home? That's another good prop, Mitch.
Kansas City, big
Sure.
home field
Patriots.
advantage
Patriots
there.
could
Saints,
be.
maybe.
Patriots, Saints, yeah.
That's good.
It's a good prop. Very good prop. That one about will a top 10 team finish out of the top 25?
Can you believe
Or which
that?
one? Or maybe
Well, a team that's happened every year since 06. Preseason top 10 to go finish unranked.
You said Texas. I heard you say Texas had a shot at that.
To drop out, yeah.
I bet them to win the national
Well,
championship.
that's all right.
I think Notre Dame, and I hate to say that.
Yeah, sure. I could see that one.
They're going to lose at Michigan, right? They're going to get
Georgia.
pounded at Georgia.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. And the schedule as well. Follow the money. Pauly and Mitch Visa and Mike Palmer, our guest, mentor to millions. So the other thing, I would say Florida, you have to look at the schedule as well because there'll be a couple of, the thing with Notre Dame, though, you're playing 7 opponents off an open.
Bye.
8.
Yeah.
You trip up in one of them.
Right. And it's 9.5. They'd have to go perfect other than those 2 games to get to 10. So I know you got to lay a little bit of juice, but I think it's pretty solid.
Paul, ask him about terrible betting stories that he has.
Most frustrating loss. Not necessarily a bad beat, but like Mitch said earlier in the week, where he's got this field.
I have a long list of
Steelers against the field. Bran against the field. Game of Thrones. Great bets that he's losing.
awesome bets. I'd make them 10 times in a row every single day of the week without even hesitating, and I lose every single time.
I played a pick 5. This is a bad beat, but I played a pick 5 at Yonkers one time a few years back, 5 or 6 years ago, because I liked a 20-1 horse in a race.
Shenanigans.
And I hit him with it. Yeah. And he wins from the 7 hole. He leaves, he gets the pocket and comes back and wins. So I go pretty deep here. I have 4 of the 8 horses in the last race to hit this pick 5. The smallest one is 1,700. The biggest one is 9,200. A horse that's paying 6,000 is 3 lengths ahead in the stretch, right? And he's come by, and all of a sudden the horse is just slowing down. And I said, what is it? It's not tired. The horse that was a closer, and he gets passed by a horse that's 35-1, and I blow the pick 5. I can't believe what happened. And then I read the form the next time, and it said, had flat tire and stretch. Flat tire and a harness. I never heard of it in my life. He blew a tire in the stretch. I mean, you think you're sitting on 7,000. You're 15 seconds away from $7,000.
Oh God!
Flat tire.
That's excellent. It's a Pete Rose story. He's got a horse in the lead. A deer ran on the track.
That's right.
They jump shadows. A lot of crazy things happen in horse racing.
Yonkers. I was watching one race where the favorite, like a 1-5 shot right out of the instead of right turn, and the exacta paid like a dime. I mean, it comes right out. Always hijinks at Yonkers.
I used to go to the off track in Maryville, Indiana, and there was this school teacher in Clark County, and all he would do is bet like 3,000 on 1-9 shots to show. He was just trying to get his Twin Spires dollars so he could get free food. And he bets it's storming and raining, and it's a maiden race, and he's betting. I go, why would you do this? There's so many things that can go wrong. Right out of the chute throws the jockey. I took his shoelaces and belt away.
Good move.
Dave, school teacher Dave.
I took his Oh, that's great. Thanks for sticking around. All right, good. We'll see you this weekend. I don't know why you're there, but you hang with Derek. All right, part 2 now with Richard Munchkin. And this was from yesterday, but this was a question about he's never been back-roomed, but the most scared, most afraid he's ever been.
You know, I have never been back-roomed, and I attribute that to the fact that I was a dealer and a boss. So I kind of see problems happening before they start. The other thing I should say is that once I moved away from card counting and into things with a much higher advantage, the casinos really don't understand what we're doing. And because of that, that doesn't really happen as much. So now we get barred or asked not to play because we win too much money. They don't know what's going on. They just don't want anybody winning, so they ask us not to play. The only time I was really scared was a situation in Moscow where a casino...
Moscow?
Yeah, I went to Moscow twice, 2000, 2001. And remember I said at the beginning that the casinos have to be making money? When I went in 2000, the casinos were making a ton of money, so it was great. I went back in 2001, and the economy had turned, and now the casinos were not making money. And I went into a little casino, and they, I just got just ridiculously lucky. And within 15 minutes, I was up over 20,000. And I thought, you know, I can tell by the way they're reacting, they can't take much more pain. So I went to cash out, and the pit boss is now the cashier, and he says, I'm sorry, we don't have enough money to pay you. And I've learned you don't argue, you don't get mad in those situations. I just said, how much money do you have? He goes to the table and he takes the money I bought in out of the cash box.
Oh, mama.
He gives me that back, and he gives me whatever odd change I had in my chips. And I was left with 22 $1,000 chips. He says, you come back tomorrow, the owner will be here, and he'll pay you. I go back the next day, the owner's not there. Now, there was another blackjack player who had, because the casinos were so good in Moscow, he had just moved there. And he was running the poker room at the Cosmos Hotel. So, and he really knew the lay of the land there. So I go to him, his name was Jeff, and I explained what happened, and he says, look, in Russia, the way things work is every business has what's called a roof, and that's your local mafia guy. And that casino, their roof is Chechen mob. And my roof here at the poker room is also Chechen mob. And my roof is higher than their roof. So I think I can get you $18,000 for the 22 chips. And I was like, deal. Like, let's do it right now. He's like, well, no, I got to talk to the guy, right? So to make a long story short, I end up meeting this guy, and I go to the casino, and he's there with two huge guys, like straight out of Central Casting, black suits, black turtlenecks, and this little guy in the middle. And when you enter casinos in Russia, there is a metal detector and guards, right? Because you're not allowed to take your gun in the casino there. What an idea. And so these guys, their guards are pacing like caged animals. They are not happy to see these guys in the lobby of the hotel where this casino was. So they say, all right, we're going to go inside and get the money. So now we start to go in, and the guards start talking to them in Russian, and it's very clear they don't want these guys going inside. And they start, their voices get louder and louder. And as I'm going through the metal detector, one of the guys on the inside grabs my wrist and starts pulling me in. And one of the guys on the outside grabs my other wrist and starts pulling me out. And now they're screaming at each other while they're playing tug of war with me. And I finally break free, and we go back out to the lobby, and there's a girl with us as an interpreter. And she says, okay, only you and me can go in. And so we go in, and the guy inside is white and sweating. And he goes, you should not have brought those men here. This is very bad. And I said, do you have my money? And he said, I have some. I said, how much? He says, 1,000.
Oh!
So I give him one chip. I get the 1,000. And he says, you come back in a week, we'll give you another 1,000, another week, another 1,000. I was like, well, look, I'm going to give the chips to them because I'm on a plane tomorrow morning. And he said, oh, no, only you can cash out these chips. I said, well, you'll have to take that up with them, right? So anyway, they ended up giving me $18,000 for the 21 I had left, and I was on a plane the next day. And that, as I say, Russia was the only place where I did not feel safe.
Yeah, it's follow the money. Richard Munchkin, our guest. By the way, quickly on that, how many hours of scouting went into knowing that a casino in Moscow actually might be ready, prime for the picking?
Fortunately for me, this was a situation where there were dozens of casinos there, and I had a friend who had already been there. And he called me up, and he said, hey, I'll send you to this place. I'll put up all the money. We'll split the win. And so I had to do no scouting.
Wow. Okay. So forget about what just happened there. My question is, this question was going to be about Nevada, about what you said last time, about why casinos are so poorly run. Drink vouchers, resort fees, charging for parking. You're supposed to pay 3.2. They're paying 6.5 on blackjack. I mean, everything's going haywire here.
Yeah, there have been interesting studies by behavioral economists who they found that people would actually rather pay more money to have one charge than feel like they're getting nickel and dimed, pay less money, but you pay for everything, right? So, yeah, now they have early check-in fees, late checkout fees. I saw a guy on Twitter, they charged him for ice, a glass of ice, right? I mean, yeah, it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, right now we're in the South Point, which actually is one of the best-run casinos in Las Vegas, maybe the best-run casino in Las Vegas. They understand you have loose games, cheap whiskey, cheap food, good food, But, yeah, I think they're
Well, when does it end? I mean, this is going to get. I mean, now MGM went higher with the resort fees.
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But then Wynn took away the parking fees.
Yeah.
We've heard from people that, Anthony Curtis, for example, he has said at his website the biggest complaint that he gets. I mean, the number one reaction is from people that don't live in Las Vegas. The resort fees are asked, like they have to get rid of the resort fees, otherwise I'm not coming back.
Yeah, I see a lot of that on Twitter. And part of it is they're trying to fool people on Travelocity and Expedia and all those. You go, oh, wow, a room at Caesars for $99. Yeah. And then by the time you're done, it's $250.
Yep. Can a roulette dealer put it where they want with the spin?
So this is a very controversial subject, but if you ask anybody who has played roulette with an advantage or any roulette dealer, they will tell you yes. Really? And absolutely, I'm a believer that they can in certain circumstances. Now, it is much more difficult today with what's called the low-profile wheels. They've made the pockets so small that when the ball goes down, it bounces like crazy. And in that case, I think not. But with older wheels and certain types of wheels, then I would say absolutely yes.
What do you think of 000 roulette?
It's absurd. I mean, this is just like what we were talking about with, and I think that the casinos on the Strip feel like their patrons are hostages, so they will play whatever is in front of them. But, yeah, it's...
Sure. A good point. We've seen pictures.
Yeah.
They're playing the 000. The game next to them's open. There's only one person on it.
Yeah.
Crazy. You're proud of the podcast, as you should be. You do a great job with Bob Dancer, Gambling with an Edge. As you said last time, you have guests on who can beat every game imaginable. But how about what you said last time, if you can expand on your answer about scratch-off tickets? And I saw you retweeted a story where this lady keeps winning the sweepstakes left and right as well.
Yeah, so we have had people on talking about winning, I think, every single game in the casino, including slot machines. I mean, and yeah, we had on twice a guy named Mohan Srivastava who figured out how to beat scratch-off lottery tickets. And he... he thought like an academic, which he is, not like a gambler. When he discovered this, he called the company and said, hey, I think there's a flaw in your tickets, and I can tell. And they were like, yeah, thanks, and they hung up on him. So he went and he bought 20 tickets, and he put 10 in one, and without scratching them off. He put 10 in one envelope and said winners, and 10 in another envelope and said losers, right? And he sent them off to the company. And when they opened them, all 10 in the losers were losers, and 9 out of 10 in the winners were winners. And they got a hold of him right away and said, how did you do this? But, I think there are still probably opportunities to do that. And we looked into it, realized, you would have to buy a liquor store or something so you would have access to all the tickets because
we looked into it.
It's hard to go into a gas station and say, can I look at all the tickets and decide which ones I want to buy?
Yeah.
They're not keen on that.
Who was the guy with the dating thing? The dating service?
This was fascinating. There was a mathematician who was single, and he decided to apply his talents to the dating site OkCupid. And he kind of hacked the way their site works. And, I forget the exact figures, but basically, if you're a man on OkCupid, no, women don't contact you, and if you're a woman, you get 100 a day, right? And he figured out a way to make it so that the women were contacting him in the dozens every day. and met his wife that way. He went on like 88 dates with doing this, and he wrote a little book about it. It was short, and it's only like $3 or something on Amazon. And yeah, I thought that was a really interesting episode because it just shows you how this kind of advantage play thinking leads to other things in real life.
God, why did you get married? What was he doing there?
Still together? Is it still going on?
That's been a huge advantage play for me. I've been married 26 years, and the best thing that ever happened to me. So
Here you go. Is he still married?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him since the
All right.
show.
Okay. Well, that had to be something. Go ahead and plug, please, the podcast, and then you tease it at the beginning with the acting and where we can find you.
Oh, yeah. So the podcast is Gambling with an Edge, which you can find at gamblingwithanedge.com. And the show, there's a beautiful outdoor theater out at Spring Mountain Ranch called Super Summer Theater. And I'm in a show called Noises Off, which is a really, really funny comedy that's running the first 3 weekends of September.
Thank you for coming and getting up early.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Longtime advantage player, Richard Munchkin. That was earlier. That was great. I don't know which story I like more, the scratch-off story, or could you imagine being alone and then you go to the back room area in a Moscow casino when you have no clue what they're saying, you don't know who is going to be coming around the next corner.
Don't bring these guys in here. Can I get my
Absolutely.
money? Yep. I thought it was a great line about the fees. Just hit me one time.
That's it.
I don't have to look at it. My bill. Oh, what's this? Oh, what is this fee? What does this charge?
I mean, it's a mental thing, but I would totally agree
Yeah.
with that, right?
Yes.
Like when I go to a website, just if it's going to be $250, just tell me it's going to be $250. No problem, okay? But if it's going to be $149, and then there's going to be a $49 fee for this, and a $7 fee for this, and then $6 for this, and $12 for this, cut it out. Just give me the one-time upfront fee so I know exactly what I'm getting into.
Yep. I love his story. Scouting all over the country, information. Where do I go? I'll get on a plane to go anywhere.
Yeah.
330,000
in a session, roulette. Hasn't been back room. That surprised me.
Yeah, amazing.
But Anthony Curtis, he knows he could see it coming. He run out the door.
Yep, this part of the show is brought to you by 8 Sleep. The pod is the first bed designed to boost your performance. For more, you can go check out 8sleep.com/VSiN. Up next, we have Win Some, Lose Some terrific videos to play for you. And again, betting first fives compared to full games. A great example from last night. Next here, follow the money.